number of items as well.
Mr. Bederow.
Thank you, Judge.
Honestly, go fuck yourself, sir. You don't say that, okay? You don't lose a trial where a jury acquits someone and finds them overwhelmingly not guilty and say, I gave my sincere obligation to look into this, and I'm telling you all I saw when she's guilty. Again, respectfully, go fuck yourself.
Swear again like that. That was, no, I mean, whatever. That was, I shouldn't have done that.
A few moments later.
You, as a prosecutor, have got to be out of your fucking mind.
Dude, Jimmy, look at those ears.
The ears don't bother me as much.
No, I don't trust a man. I don't trust a man with a lobe like that. No,
really,
not a fucking chance.
The mouth is butthole to me.
Very thin, paper thin.
The nose.
Oh, the nose.
The brows.
Well, listen, I will tell you though, I kind of like a fucked up nose on a guy.
I like a big old honker. I like a big nose.
Big old nose. Give me that big bitch. You know?
Yeah,
like, I'm into it.
Come over here, cluck cluck.
Yeah.
I see some chickens that went moving on up in my biz, cluck cluck. You gotta be with the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, kids.
And I go, oop, clutch, clench, kegel. We did it all. And I go, oh, and what happened? And they go, well, we just got 4,000 plus pages, bitch. And I said, stop it. Show me it. Take me to Unimpound Town immediately, if not sooner. So what happens?
The bitch is here.
Why are you at a football game? Are you a Fonz correspondent?
Well, no, because it's only for men over 30. Okay? Have a great night, boys. Fuck off.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Hey, Blues Clues, motherfucker.
Good morning, lovies. Happy Sunday, March 22nd, 2026. We are gathered here today for a Sunday service of needed proportions. It's been a couple of weeks. The last time we were gathered together, it was the 1st, I believe. And we've had 2 bye weeks. First, because I had no Wi-Fi. Second, because of the fucking 5 weekend. And now, more than ever, we need our emotional support attorney. The man who makes it all make sense. The best in the business. Our emotional support attorney. Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend. The one and only, Mr. Bederow. Good morning, Mr. Bederow.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
It's good to see ya.
It's good to be back. We have a 16-year-old in my house I want to announce today. I can't believe it.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
A boy is 16 today. I can't believe it.
Oh my gosh. You know, Mia turned 16 on February 5th, and it is unbelievable. We just had them. Like they were just born. And now he's a grown man. He's going to be, is he getting his permit like tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, but that process is in action. You know, we're going in a week or so to scout college. Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Time flies. Well, happiest birthday to our little Mr. Bederow. And I hope everything, you know, all of his dreams come true on this 16th year. It's so big. They're so close to like being adults, so close to, like you said, going to college, all the things. It's all happening. And it's like you blink and they're grown.
I know. I liked them better when they weren't really people and they just wanted to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and, you know, that kind of stuff. But here we are.
Okay, so now I don't have any boys. I only have girls. Good luck, okay? Good luck. When your daughter turns 11, she is going to not be herself, okay? From that tiny angel you once knew, she will no longer be her. She's going to have a hormonal swing that lasts, I don't know, still in the midst of it for my girls. And like, they are so incredible and they're attitude-y. And like, although I say that they're driving me crazy. They're really good kids. It's just very opinionated, very strong. I think your daughter is going to be the exact same way. Second birth, feral children. My second daughter, Olivia, gives me a run for my money. Is your son mean or is he nice?
Oh no, he's nice, but I don't know why you're talking about what she's going to be in future tense as opposed to present tense. Yes, it's already started at 10. But
at 10. Oh, well, 10 is 10 is right on the cusp. So yeah, good luck. Good luck to all of us. Every mother with daughters, like from us getting through 10 to I think like early 20s or maybe like at least late teens. God bless, because I would look at my mother and if she gave me a look or if she told me something, I listened. And these kids of mine have that's not the same. We're not the same.
No, times are different.
Times are different. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, just the happiest birthday to him. Do you guys have any plans today? Any big birthday plans, or is he like just keeping it cash?
I hung out with some friends last night. We'll go to dinner tonight, that kind of thing. You know, fortunately the birthday party era has come and went. So it's just more hang out with friends and, have a family dinner and that's it, that's plenty.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't mind like when they ask for all of their girlfriends to come over. It's like, yes, I'd rather have you be here than out. So let's do that. And then they eat the entire house. I'm like, the girls eat. Like, I go, and they're all growing girls. I get it. But like, I mean, hello, what are we doing? Babe, I did a $300 shop. And then the next day it's like, oh, the women have been here.
I know. I have not yet. Well, I have not yet ventured to the basement, which is actually difficult these days with a, flat tire on my right leg. But I cringe when I make my way down there to see what the condition of the basement looks like. And judging by the barking all night, it's probably not good, but we'll see.
And how are you, speaking of the flat tire, how are you feeling? What's an update on that?
It is what it is, right? You just have to get through it. But
yeah, I know.
Get through it, whatever. It's not my first rodeo with this, unfortunately.
It's the worst though. Are you still wearing your boot?
I am wearing the heavy, clumpy boot. Yeah.
I'm proud of you. Keep doing, follow directions. Don't be a stubborn patient. Be a good patient, please.
I'm not a good patient.
I know. That's why I say it. So yeah, follow directions. You're going to feel better. And if you don't, then you know what? Listen, if you want to be a stubborn man, there it is. I did want to ask you, speaking of, you're going to Arizona, you're looking at schools, and you're having a great trip with your son, an upcoming one, like with the NCAA, because I always like to ask a little sports when you're here, is we're in March Madness now. And has it been a mad March? Yes. Just in legal terms and now in basketball terms. Do you have an overall pick for who will take it all?
I do. My pick is anybody but the University of Arizona. I mean, to be candid, to the extent that I care, ASU, not very good, not in the tournament, not what you'd call, they ebb and flow with basketball, but they're in a low point. The other one that I would care about is Syracuse, obviously, if I haven't gone. They are a traditional powerhouse team, but they've been down as well. So I have no stake in this tournament. And unfortunately, the U of A is, a top contender. I think, they're a one seed. Many people think they're going to win. And people like me are programmed to just despise everything about the University of Arizona or anything in Tucson. So I just want them to lose.
Noted. Of course, my pick was Arizona. Thank you for really just putting a dagger in my heart and twisting it. And I figured this is a random fast fact, but UConn is 30-1, okay, odds, but their coach, is Hurley. Hurley is from AZ, and could they win it all?
Well, wait a minute. So Bobby Hurley was the ASU coach, the Duke player from the 90s. And actually ASU just fired him. So you're talking about a different guy. But yeah, Bobby Hurley was the best thing ASU basketball had. It was, living the glory days from the early 90s from Duke. But, they actually just got rid of him a week ago.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And I like that Buzzman is going for Michigan. Montante is saying Houston. So let's see, everyone, giddy up if you like it. I love a tournament. I think it's so good because for some of these boys, this is their last opportunity. A lot of them, the majority of them won't go to the pros. And this is such a big deal. And I love to see the upsets. I love to see an underdog. And, that's just a me. But I was wrong. I apologize about the Bobby Hurley thing. I was like, oh, could he do it again? I thought he was a coach of UConn.
No, he was our coach. He was.
Well, I'm dipped.
Yeah.
Anywho, so big doings this week. We had legal wise, right? So we've had, I needed the Afro Man trial, like I needed air in my lungs, like I needed to breathe. When I tell you, Mr. Bederow, that the Afro Man trial possibly like brought back my hope in humanity, it brought back sanity, it brought back like a little silliness when I know it's incredibly serious. But to see a man like Mr. Foreman, aka Afro Man, take this incident that occurs at his home in 2022, where they're accusing him of human trafficking, of narcotics, or they're in there for searching for, right? They're searching for these things. And they break down his door. They have AK-47s. He has children in his home. And he takes this tragedy and turns it into a triumph. He literally takes lemons and makes lemon pound cake, because that was a banger from his parody album. And this is something that, I mean, it applies to all of us. It's our free speech. It's everything. But to see the Adams County Sheriff Department turn around and sue him for $3.2 million in damages because he made songs and because he said what he wanted from an experience that personally happened to him was mind-boggling. What did you feel? How do you feel at the end of this? And was the trial, was it something that will go down and like be taught in other classes, maybe in college level?
I don't know if it's going to be taught. I mean, as a legal exercise, I mean, that trial was just a complete farce and a joke, a colossal waste of time, resources. And it also shows the discrepancy in equity, if you will, about how you can handle things. The police certainly can get a warrant, kick the door down, assuming a judge authorizes it, do whatever they do, and then tear your house apart, traumatize you. Turns out you haven't committed a crime. There's no evidence that you've committed a crime. And then they just, shrug their shoulders and leave and say, whatever. And so, you're this guy. What do? Well, your first reaction is, I want to sue everyone. But you really can't do that. They have qualified immunity. A judge signed the warrant. That's a complete defense to their, the reasonableness of their conduct, generally speaking. So what do? Well, if you're kind of a creative guy with a platform and funny and witty and musically inclined, and a red-blooded American who believes in free speech, what you do is you criticize, which is your First Amendment right to do. And I mean, I said this on Linda's show the other night. The First Amendment, what the quintessential right under the First Amendment is to complain and criticize the government. I mean, literally, that's why it exists, to air grievances, if you will, and that's what he did. And he did it in a way that was crude, perhaps mean, offensive, whatever. But he has a right to do it. And, he's airing out his point about what I think about you. And it's very satirical in nature. I mean, the whole thing about the cops staring at the lemon cake. I mean, whatever. He's just having a good time. Again, you don't have to like it. Right. But for these cops to think that the right approach here was to then push back by suing him and claiming we're victims is just, they got horrible legal advice, whether they pushed it or not. It just absolutely insane to turn around and sue him. And to the extent that you even credit some of their claims as human beings, not legally, but in the sense, you know what, it is offensive, it's embarrassing, their feelings are hurt. That's probably true. You know,
Okay.
particularly woman, whatever. But if your fear is it's invading my privacy, it's embarrassing me, you took something that was, you know, a speck of sand on a beach and just turned it into a full 3 mile long beach full of sand that everybody knows about. Um, Maybe I'm just a fossil, but a week ago, if you said Afro Man, I would say, I don't even know what you're talking about. Never heard of him. Now it's all you hear about. So
Stop
just
it. You've heard of "Cause I Got High," because I
maybe
got
I'm
high.
wrong, but it just never, like, whatever. It just never,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the point is, put it this way. Prior to this trial, nobody talked about this.
True.
And this has been going on for 3 years with legal proceedings. No, you guys never talked about this online. Nobody talked about it in the news. And then all of a sudden it goes to trial. And it's all everybody's talking about in this world, whatever you define this bizarre internet world. And so the cops, they look foolish, and they deserve what they got in the sense of nothing. They didn't deserve financial compensation for this. And you also bear in mind, they went into his home. I mean, there's no privacy issues here. This just was as ill-advised and ridiculous a lawsuit. And the First Amendment has weight and it's important. And you can't just complain about people because they criticize you, particularly on matters of public interest, which again, man with a platform that apparently everyone else but me was familiar with, had his home raided. He's accused of these terrible things. That's newsworthy. I mean, that's a matter of public concern. Him pushing back is a matter of public concern. And the fact that he's airing it out in a comical, again, offensive way, that's how things work. You can like it, you can approve of it, you can not approve of it, but the man has a right to speak his mind and air his opinion and satire and criticism, and that's what he did. And this shouldn't be something that was adjudicated in a courtroom, having these police officers complain about their feelings being hurt. As a legal proceeding, it was an absolute farce.
Absolutely. And do you think that it would have been different, let's say, if the search had resulted in actual charges, right? Like, so that I think it was added insult to injury that, like, you did all of this. Also, Afro Man said that he requested a little bit of assistance, just, hey, can you guys help me please put my door back on because whatever, and his gate that they busted up. And they said, we don't have to do shit basically for you. And that's where he was like, I have the right to go kick my can in my backyard and make songs describing this event that has traumatized me. And I'm allowed to, make my criticisms. And that's what it is. And we have right to criticize, especially all of the public officials and the ones that broke down your house, tried to eat your lemon pound cake, and were looking for trafficking victims in your suit pockets.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, if the search had yielded evidence of his criminality, no, we wouldn't be here. And the cops wouldn't be pushing back and suing. What they would be doing is prosecuting him. And the default position of people would be, yeah, the guy's a criminal. There's evidence of this. And I don't think any of this would be happening. But the fact of the matter is, they did break his door down. They did cut the wires on his cameras. They did all these things. And there was no evidence of criminality. And he wanted, to defend himself publicly, like you said, kick the can in his backyard. And he has every right to do that. And it's understandable that they may very well be offended. Again, the one woman, what do they call her? Lickum Low Lisa or whatever the hell it was.
That's exactly it.
Okay, and he's making fun of her voice, and he's making fun of the other guy for being a slob who wants to eat his cake.
Big as hell.
Did your wife and all that. I mean, there are many people who might say, you know what, that's offensive and the guy's a jerk. And guess what? You have a right to be a jerk under the First Amendment. You have a right to offend. You have a right to speak your mind. There are very narrow limitations on your right to speak your mind. I mean, obviously, if you advocate imminent harm, that's not protected speech. The government has a right to regulate what they call time, place, and manner, permits for things and not, you can't just go stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue every day they can limit in those kinds of things. But for this guy, on his own schedule, in his own yard, his own platform, to scream and yell that you guys, I think you're awful people, that's as quintessential First Amendment as it gets. And the fact that it offends people is not a basis to drag them into court. And it's not just criticizing certain individuals. There is this concept of the marketplace of ideas. And if you go back and you look at the old First Amendment cases from the times of Louis Brandeis and all these prominent judges and this and that, when they would talk about these things, and it's a living, breathing thing, and you're allowed to offend, and it can be the way he is, and it can be other things that you see all the time that pisses you off. But if you're a serious person, you don't just say, well, lock them all up or sue them all. Years ago, you had these American Nazis who would march, remember, at Skokie, Illinois, and these were like neo-Nazi lunatics. I mean, you can't be more offensive, but they have a right to do it. They have a right to offend you. You have a right to call them assholes and try to convince people why they're assholes. And that's the marketplace of ideas. You see it more recently with the Westboro Church. Those awful people who offend religion. They would protest dead soldiers' funerals, if you recall. I mean, what could be more offensive than that, right? I mean, imagine being the mother of a killed soldier coming home, just trying to have a funeral, and these pieces of garbage are out there protesting. But they have a right to be assholes. You have a right to call them assholes and expose them and scream and yell, but everybody doesn't sue everyone. And I mean, for police officers, in that case, for what they did, you have a right to air grievances against the government. You have a right to speak your mind, particularly, again, on matters of public concern. And if nobody cares, nobody cares. But all these cops did that sued was take something that was probably worth a chuckle to a few people and turn it into a national laughingstock. That's all because of them. That's all because of them. And now they're going to be internet memes forever because of how ridiculous they were. And you know what? They get no sympathy for the way they tried to handle it. I do have sympathy I believe them when they say we're upset and it hurt my family sees this. I get that. But that doesn't give you a right to say, pay me because of all that happened. And that's just not the way the First Amendment works.
Yeah. And is there also maybe something to be said for by doing that lawsuit and coming in the way in which they did, you're making it more public, right? There's no privacy concern. He didn't do anything to you when you put your name on this filing. So now this is public. You've made it publicer. And now we're going to have, there's again, a spotlight, more attention. I think this did a lot of numbers, a lot of numbies on TikTok, like Afro Man was doing work over there. But now, since the trial, it has, if he was rich before from what the sales that he did and like the merch and all that shit, to think of how it exploded and that the entire world was talking about it, it just shows that when you take an approach or like, yes, your feelings can be hurt. And I agree with you, Mr. Bederow, but I don't think that your feelings are monetary rewarded. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you have actual harm, like you had loss of wages, you had a loss of your job, something happened to you that you can put a number on, that makes sense to me. But hurting feelings, everyone would like, I don't like that about the Massachusetts statute either.
I'm actually going to go even more rigid than you are.
Okay.
It can't be a cause and effect. I mean, just because the speech causes you literally harm isn't a reason to stifle the speech. Now, again, if it is actionable in other ways, if it's causing imminent harm, if it is truly defamatory in the sense that people believe it and there's no basis for it, and you're making people who were not already either public figures or in the public eye, it can become more complicated. But the mere cause and effect of my speech offends you and you say it caused you harm is not enough. I mean, you have a right to speak. Now, legally, you don't have a right to defame. You don't have a right to encourage harm on someone in an imminent way. You don't have a right to do those kinds of things. But, you can't just equate it to my speech hurt your feelings, therefore you owe me money. I mean, that can't be. That's just not in America.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that was just, it's important to remember, because sometimes when we say, there's been a kind of a swing back in the pendulum, in my opinion, from cancel culture. Now we're kind of swinging back a little bit, like, because in the 80s or 90s, I mean, the shit that was said, you can even go back and watch like Roseanne or Married with Children or Alf, I don't know, go back and watch any television show and you'll be like, oh my God, you actually said that. Like, it gives you a little bit of, it was funny then, but now you're like, oh God, was that funny?
But even the clips that I've seen of the songs that were offensive, sure, they're offensive, but based on what you're talking about and some of the things that you've heard historically, it's not even that bad.
No.
I mean, it gets a lot worse than this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's comical. And then, look, the other thing is this. When these plaintiffs come in, and I don't even know the one guy's name, the one male cop, the one, who's staring at the cake and does the head turn. And he comes in and he, with his shirt all undone, and he's sitting in the witness stand as the plaintiff, like this. Honestly, get the hell out of here. I mean, we're supposed to give you millions of dollars. I mean, you're just a joke. If you're so offended by this, at least give the jury the impression that you're earnest and you care and that you're upset, as opposed to like, I'm the one bringing the suit and I just don't want to be here, and the hell with all this. Just give me my money and let me go home. It was just, the whole process was a complete farce.
And to see him also say, well, and I didn't even know where he got that idea from. Like, I don't know where he got that I was Mr. Officer Lemon Pound Cake. And then he says, the funny part was, he's like, and I got hundreds of them sent to the office. They sent me hundreds of lemon pound cakes. And I'm like, oh, you're
own it. Laugh at it. You know what? It was a
God
nice
forbid.
I didn't eat it, but I looked at it and that looks nice. I mean, whatever. That just, God, get over it. And when you start
Mama's lemon pound cake, it's so good. Tastes so nice. He struck me. He didn't strike me. I had to take it out of my last video because everyone told me, they were like, Kim, you're gonna get copyright on this. And I go, don't do it, Afro Man. I love you. But or the algorithm picked it up or whatever it was. But I pulled it out of my stream. It was only like a minute. But I mean, everyone, if you haven't seen it, it's the Lemon Pound Cake album, Afro Man. There is like, if I hear, I woke up 2 days in a row saying, Randy Walters is a son of a bitch. I was like, this is 10 out of 10. Randy Walters is a son of a bitch.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, it's juvenile. It's funny. It's comical. It's absurd. On some level, it's kind of childish. It's witty.
Sophomoric.
Just get over yourself. Like, you don't get millions of dollars by saying, I'm a police officer I lawfully searched your home. That's true. You might have done it in a way that was a little aggressive, found nothing, acted like a fool, not treated as property with respect. But to then say you get criticized as a cop and say, I'm now entitled to, a million plus or 2, 3, 4, whatever million it was, get out of here. I mean, honestly, probably you should look for another line of work because cops, look, it's part of the deal. I mean, I talked about this with Linda the other night too. Just go follow any NYPD patrol officer on any given day, okay? And the crap that they hear and get told. And you know what they do? It goes in the left ear, it goes out the right ear, and they just keep going. Now, admittedly, it's not, on the internet and whatever, but you need to be made of stronger stuff if you're going to be a police officer. Okay. And these guys and women are just jokes. I'm sorry. I mean, notwithstanding how on some level you can have sympathy for what they felt, the way they handled it is just ridiculous.
Obtuse. Yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Absolutely. And I do think that even specifically for myself of going through and on an incredibly wicked small level of like the vitriol that sometimes we can receive online
every day
and every day that people, the things that they say to us in the last like year and a half, I've gotten much better at, letting it go in one ear and out the other. Cause I know who I am and the people who matter know who I am, but like, it is, it can be jarring. So I completely understand saying you got your feelings hurt, but just don't engage. Like, in what world are you bringing more attention to it? Because if we do that, then it keeps going. And hey, maybe we see this in other areas too.
You see it every day. I know you do. I do. Others do. And people, attack, criticize. They are rude and crude. And do they have a legal right to do it? Sure. Do people have a legal right to push back and say you're exposing yourself to a clown and whatever? Sure. Is everyone's first reaction, again, if they're not literally threatening harm or whatever, to turn around and sue these weirdos and online keyboard warriors? Of course not. I mean, it is what it is. As an aside, I'm assuming that, the majority of the trash bags you want to sue anyway probably don't have 2 nickels to rub together, and that doesn't make it worthwhile either. But all kidding aside, I mean, people, generally speaking, until they do certain things, have right to be jerks, and you have a right to say you're a jerk. I don't think it's particularly counterproductive when people spend all day and instead of working and doing other productive things with their life to just scream and yell at each other on the internet. But going back to the other guy, I mean, he's a musician. What do you think he's going to do? He can't really sue you. You're going to have immunity. I mean, what remedy does he have? Okay.
Yeah.
His remedy is to bring attention and criticize. That's what he did.
And in the way, like, I think it's so important though, Mr. Bederow, that you also said that if you look at it, it's sophomoric. It is, yes, like, yeah, and I effed your wife and got filthy rich. Like, okay, that's crude. But at the end of the day, damn right well, like, that could have gone, if he decided to go an evil route, right? Which some people do. They have no, in my opinion, like, moral compass. This was light, a parody, you making fun of something. If you can't laugh at yourself, the lemon pound cake specifically, maybe the woman with the low voice, Lolisa or whatever, like, I get it. If she's had her voice like that her whole life, maybe you can't change that. I understand. And that could be a sore spot for you. But Mr. Lemon Pound Cake, I would have been like, if you can't laugh at yourself in certain situations, which with that double take in which it was there, he wasn't saying like that he was the one who cut the wires. Like, there was other people who were more involved, and yet he still got in on it. I just thought it was a little bit uncouth for him because there was nothing really that was damaged.
He's a victim of circumstance in the sense that, the man had cameras and the cameras picked up a cop executing a search warrant apparently, based on the clip I saw, do a legitimate double take at like, wow, look at that cake. And so this guy is making a joke. He's making satire. He's making parody of you. He's tongue in cheek. You're a clown. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. Like, go on with your life.
And that's so funny. Like, even seeing, thank you, VM10, saying SNL does it every week. Like, all of our politicians, all of our public officials specifically, I always feel have you have a right, if you're a public figure and or a public official and you're doing whatever, I'm allowed to comment, have commentary, criticism of it. You can like you can hate you. It's all the things, because that is our First Amendment in our US Constitution, and that those are where there was a specific reason for it to be done that way. The first is very important.
It is. And, look, people, as we can beat this to death, have a right to say what they want, and particularly when they are in the public eye. And this was a public situation. And I mean, you can just be grateful that, in certain places, people don't get too carried away. I mean, one could argue, well, those cops, they're witnesses in a trial coming up, and they're being mocked and parodied, and their feelings were hurt. This could be a crime, in certain quarters of America. Oh, that's a crime. Oh. All of this just needs to stop.
Yeah, agreed, 110%. Yeah. So I found it was a little bit of sanity, or not sanity. It did something. It like cured my seasonal affective disorder, because I had been in such a funk of just the internet being trash. Okay. All right. The internet is trash. Twitter is trash. And like, to see that and to see him have the victory and the win, where he was found like everything was found in Afro-Man's favor on the 18th, on Wednesday. And as it should have been, right? And it was done right. It was, handled in an appropriate way. In my opinion, it should have always ended in his favor. And you just look at it and it was like, wow, everything has been so shitty for so long. And like, yes, I cover things that like matter to me, but the tone and tenor of everything is just like, someone would say the opposite. If I said today's Sunday, someone would be like, you dumb bitch, it's Monday, and like, just to do it. The sky is blue. No, it's not. It's green. Like, there is a certain segment of individuals that will always say whatever it is that I say, the exact opposite is what is happening. Okay. And it doesn't matter how unhinged it is. That is the way it is going to go. And I felt that even though it was a serious topic, the levity that came of it, the outcome that came of it, it was much deserved and much needed for a timeline cleanse. If that makes sense.
It does. Again, not everything that offends someone in the grand scheme of life belongs in either a criminal or civil courtroom. I mean, that's just not what courts are for, and whatnot. And whatever, they brought their lawsuit, they were rejected, across the board, and all done is bring more attention to themselves, and probably bought themselves more parody and satire coming down the line from somebody who is a very public figure, and whose public figure has exploded, as I said, just in the last week. So,
Gen Z has been introduced, right? And I just think that, and Gen Alpha too. Now they're all going to see like what we as millennials, we were Afro Man OGs. Okay. So like Colt 45, 2 zigzags, Cause I Got High. That was like staples of us growing up. But the next generations.
I'm not a millennial. So maybe that's why I don't really know who he was. I was already halfway old by the time this going on. But no, it's he's going to be introduced to a whole new round of people. And let's be honest, his marketing is brilliant. The afro is superb. The name Afro Man is something you'll never forget. The American flag suit is hilarious. Oh. These videos of him dancing and then becoming 3 and dance, it's funny. And he's charismatic. it is what it is. It's just going to get worse for these people for coming after him.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And I just wanted to ask you, I I don't know, this might be a little out of bounds, but is there a possibility that you wear an American flag suit anytime?
No.
Because I need it.
No. The best
I
you'll
need
get.
red, white, and navy blue. Can you do that for me?
No. The only I always wear an American flag lapel, always.
Uh-huh.
Started that after 9/11, and so for the last 24 years plus, I've always done that. But no, I will not be wearing an American flag suit or anything of that nature. No, that's
okay.
Can't
Okay.
speak for others, but the worst I'll do is, I mean, in the summertime, I'll wear a seersucker. Absolutely, I love seersucker. But beyond that, no, that's as crazy as it is.
Okay, I was gonna try to whip out like my old Navy 2004 or 2005 shirt that like my mom bought me, and I was like, I don't know why I've always kept this shirt.
Well, a shirt is okay, but I mean, a suit, that's getting a little,
And a
That's
little white chinchilla. Listen, I made up that it's not chinchilla. It's probably faux because he's a good man. But in my mind, he had a 13,000 white chinchilla coat on over that American flag with that afro. You can't tell him shit. He was a winner. He woke up in the morning and he pissed excellence. Okay. Right?
Listen, everything in that, him in the American flag suit, the witness half lounged over, his lawyer who looks like a cross from like a Civil War veteran, and Grizzly Adams with 8 pens. I love it. Just the whole thing, the absurdity, the cartoon nature of the whole proceeding, which, by the way, was right on point, because in many ways it was illustrative for the jury. Like, this is not serious. This is a freaking joke.
I got to tell you, I don't know if I could have been on that. I'm going to tell you this right now. I would have howled. Okay. I would have been like, I can't do this. I'm a cackling hen.
How
did they not laugh?
I don't know. I'm watching, again, I don't watch the trial, but I saw a video of it. How he was able to wear sunglasses during the proceeding, I don't know. Usually most judges wouldn't allow that. How the plaintiff's lawyer is allowed to invoke God into jury selection and saying thou have been chosen is objectionable and not proper. The defendant going back and forth with the witness on the stand, generally not something you would see in a serious trial. Obviously talking about, did he really have sex with your wife? I don't know. I mean, the whole trial was, I mean, honestly, the only word that comes to mind is just farce, just a complete farce.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I needed it. Okay. I needed it. And what I did not need was Chuck Norris to pass away. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say RIP to my guy, Chuck Norris, the man. Like, I just thought he was so cool when I was like little. I think my Nana Phyllis had a crush on him. And I was hoping that I could get Tiny Mary, because we know Tiny Mary is here, Tiny Jesus. If I could get a tiny Chuck Norris and a tiny Punch the Monkey, that would be it would be a quartet that no one could defeat. No weapon formed against me shall prosper if I have those 4 tiny people. So listen, lovies, if anyone can find, we have Tiny Mary, we have Tiny Jesus. If there's a tiny Chuck Norris and or a tiny Punch the Monkey, find me. Or maybe we could 3D print them. I don't know, but I think that's everything.
Listen, a 3D printer, you can do anything.
That is true.
I have represented people who made firearms on a 3D printer. I mean, that's crazy. I'm talking.
Do you know the FBI came to my house 2 years ago because of a 3D printer?
No, well, they're concerned that you're going to be making those kinds of things. Yeah, no, I even years ago represented a guy who was a creator for a very well-known Broadway show, and he made an imitation firearm, nothing nefarious, nothing whatever.
Yeah.
and they arrested him as if he was gonna like do something terrible. Like, case got dismissed. But the point is, if you have 3D printers, anything, I mean, you can make anything.
Well, it was a lady. It was a lady on the street. It was in the garage or whatever, or the garage, and it a
Careful,
lady.
you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings.
Oh well, okay. Well, I didn't say a blank on the street, but like there was just a random older lady on the street. She called it in,
I meant garage. I meant garage, but
garage. Oh well, that garage too. Yeah. Well, and I want to, because I want to, Daddy. I want to. I want to resign now, Daddy.
did you just do a Willy Wonka reference right there? Was that a assault? I want it and I want it now.
That's her.
Yeah.
That's my diva beaver. She's angry, right? So, but listen to this. So, I guess if you can make a complaint, or like you can call like a 1-800 number, and like you could call like 1-800 FBI, and they have to like actually like go, and like they came to the house and they were like, "Hey, you gotta just check the garage," and the garage was checked, and they were like, that's fine. Like they have to come by and see it. And I was like, I'm sorry. Am I making cookies? Am I bringing waters? Am I allowing you in? Am I going to say, please search my home? What are we doing? I am not the one. I'm not the one, Mr. Bederow. I'm letting everybody and he was like, no, we don't need to go in your house. And I was like, well, are you sure? You want to come in? Like, and what am I doing? Get a lawyer, you weirdo. It was a couple of years ago, but nothing ever happened. It was just a random call, and there was clearly nothing wrong. She just thought that, I guess the old lady was like, oh, that looks like that could, I don't know. I think she saw something she said on like a TV show, and she thought that it could be dangerous. And little did she know that she was wasting time and taxpayer money. So there you go. But that was awkward for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, but we'll finish up. We'll wrap up. Thank God. Praise Afro Man. I need a tiny Bederow, I don't need a tiny Afro Man. I will just wear American flag things, a punch and a little Chuck Norris, and I'm living my best life. The upcoming next week, right? Now we're coming into, it's crunch time. Kelsey starts on Monday. We have a bench trial. This is a very hot topic. I know you've discussed it. I was on with Allie Mata and on Lauren's channel with Maza on Friday night for a fundraiser, Mr. Bederow, and Allie broke it down that like she's not. I don't think she was that much in favor of the bench trial, and I thought that it was like 10 out of 10 incredible of Bradel. So can you please break it down for me, pros and cons, bench trial?
Yeah. I mean, I've said to you and others during these streams for the better part of 2 years or whatever it is, that as a general concept, that I am very bullish on bench trials generally. Now, there's always cases where you don't do that, depending. I mean, every case is different. It's not a cookie cutter thing. But I generally, if you have a very good legal defense on the elements and you want to take drama, emotion, and things like that out of the case, then a bench trial can very well be the right way to go, assuming you have a judge give you that fundamental fairness, right? In this case, everyone's, all excited and emotional over what happened and this and that. The defense and I don't have any inside knowledge, by the way, because I work with and am friendly with her lawyer on another case, just so people know. Like we talk casually, but I don't, I'm not part of strategy sessions and giving, whatever. So this is all, I'm not advocating for it. The defense here is reasonable doubt. Always the defense. But what I'm saying is they're going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that, she was pointing this gun around in a dangerous way, not really to herself. Okay. And there are going to be two people that are going to be in that room. There's going to be the cop who shot her. And in this case, the police officer who shot her. So there are clearly red flags and problems with the credibility of the police officer generally. This is not a personal attack on him. The first sign is grand jury would not indict for attempted murder, meaning the DA went in there trying to argue a theory. She pointed and was going to kill him, and he had no choice. And they dumped that on a probable cause, not beyond a reasonable doubt, on a probable cause standard in which there was no defense, there was no defense argument, there was no cross-examination, there was no defense testimony. The prosecution could have put it in the best way that they saw fit, and the grand jury said no. Disturbing if you're a prosecutor to start with. You know, I understand there's some general inconsistency about how he perceived the gun and when she got it. That's going to be an issue, obviously. But if the defense here is going to be reasonable doubt and you don't want all this other stuff to come in, then a bench trial can very much be the way to go. And in this case, I think a bench trial is a totally proper way to do it. Now, if you have a defense which is wrapped up more in emotion, right, and you're kind of weak on the evidence, but more emotion, and you want to, you know, gin people up and piss them off and kind of get, you know, that behind the verdict, well, that would be for a jury, clearly. You know, I mean, obviously, if you want to run around and say, you know, this and that, you would go with a jury. I can see arguments in this case both ways, but a bench trial here isn't entirely a reasonable and smart thing. It doesn't seem inappropriate at all. You know, by all accounts, they like the judge, who, if nothing else, seems fair. Know what he did with at least starting towards the path of reunification and access to a child, even though that's really not purview. And again, whatever you think happened or didn't happen, the fact finder, whether it's judge or jury, has to find beyond a reasonable doubt that she's guilty of the charged crime. And if it turns into, I don't know what the hell happened, I don't know, did the cop overreact? Did he think she was doing something she wasn't? A judge doesn't have to be pissed off and find that the testifying cop is lying. He doesn't have to find all these things that all the people online want to scream and yell about. He doesn't have to draw an opinion that Kelsey's baby daddy or boyfriend or whatever he was is a bad guy. That's for family court down the line. He doesn't need to do all of that. All he has to do is say, you know what? I don't see proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Not guilty. I'm out of here. All of you people get out of my courtroom and go scream and yell in family court and on the internet. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I think it's entirely a reasonable thing. And, you know, I am aware of, you know, some of the, again, online Twitter lawyers who, you know, have opinions about the competence of lawyers for making these decisions. And I mean, my God, was that pathetic. But it is a totally rational thing to do. I mean, I've tried a bench trial in a murder case in New York. I've tried in a couple of years ago, a woman who was married to an accused murderer who ended up killing himself, who had in her closet 9 loaded firearms. Now, they weren't hers. It's a whole story. But you know what? We were concerned in that case about a jury perhaps saying, well, you're married to a guy who is probably a killer. You have 9 loaded firearms in your closet. That sounds terrible. And the defense was a legal defense. She didn't know that he had put them there and that they were. And so it was a very simple decision for us.
Right.
So we're going to do a bench trial. This was a high profile case. And I mean, she got charged with like 20 counts of gun possession in this, and she got acquitted of all charges. Now, I think a jury would have acquitted her as well, but you know what? That was a no-brainer bench trial. There are times that it's just a common sense thing. And there's a million other considerations that would go into this. And people need to understand. Look at her lawyers, okay? I mean, Tim obviously, is a former prosecutor in Boston, has tried a million cases, gets hired on very important cases. His co-counsel is the former attorney general of Massachusetts. Okay, so Twitter lawyers and trash bags, give me a break. Okay, it doesn't guarantee the result, but they know what they're doing. There's actually a lot of thought that goes into this, and somebody, going on the internet and screaming to 500 people that those lawyers are idiots, they're incompetent, they don't know what they're doing. Get a hold of yourself, people. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, this isn't something that they thought on whim and caprice in 5 minutes. These conversations go deep. And by the way, the right to pick a bench trial or jury trial belongs exclusively to the client. Now, lawyers are going to recommend to a client, and a client, if they're doing the right thing, is going to follow the advice of the lawyers they hired. But ultimately, the client has to say, that's what I want to do. Okay. And the other thing is this: when you pick a bench trial, the judge knows everything in the background that a jury ostensibly is not supposed to know. A jury is only supposed to know what's in court. There are evidentiary rulings and da 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 da. Now, a judge is not going to legally consider all that, but they know. Okay, so
that's true.
The judge knows already about her postpartum, about whatever other issues she had, about whatever so-called skeletons are in her background, which I couldn't tell you whether they are or they aren't. I don't know. I don't really care. And they're still comfortable doing it. Okay, even if they're comfortable, even if that were not admissible, that the judge knows, but can stay focused. Okay. Even if the judge says, if you testify, I'm going to allow you to be cross-examined with that. Well, you already know, so we're okay. There's no concern about, well, the jury gets freaked out by this. One of the reasons in a case like this, there's concern about corruption. There always is, apparently, up there. I'm sure part of the process was by taking the jury away from it, there's less concern about that. All right. We're satisfied this judge is fair and is not going to be subject to having sympathy for the police department, the DA's office, the whoever else. So a lot of thought goes into this. But I'll tell you what thought does not go into it. What a bunch of trash bags on Twitter are going to say about the lawyers, whether they do it or don't. Okay. And the chips will fall where they fall. She'll be acquitted or she'll be convicted. It's not going to be a mistrial. It's not going to be a hung jury in front of a judge.
Correct.
But the bottom line is, on these facts, as much as I know anyway, and all the other surrounding circumstances, it's an entirely reasonable decision, and one that I probably would have done as well.
Yes, that is so smart, though, about, first of all, hilarious trash bag Twitter, where trash bags on Twitter is possibly the best thing I've heard all day. And so smart of the hung jury aspect. And that is something that I really didn't think about, was that clearly the judge either way is going to decide, right? I think that there is enough. I think that, like you're saying, Kelsey, it's her sole ownership of whether she decides to do a bench trial or a jury trial. She's taken counsel's recommendations and she made that decision herself. She's competent to make that decision. And moving forward, I think the application of law, in my mind, and you saying that they know all the shits, right? Not all the shits, all the things, everything, even if the judge is not taking into consideration specific aspects, that judge knows every piece that may have not been able to get in front of the jury. That is tremendous. That is something. Yeah.
I saw, every now and then you make the mistake, when you look through your Twitter and you see something I saw yesterday. This algorithm is like really, you get steered to this crap. But there was this online back and forth between, a lot of the usual suspects, whatever, whether Kelsey Fitzsimmons had a criminal record from another state. Okay. And to be honest with you, I have no idea and don't really care. But the point is, the prosecutor knows, Tim and co-counsel know, and the judge knows, whatever the truth is. Okay.
Yep.
So while you guys all fight on Twitter over this and that, they all know. And the defense has opted for a bench trial anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're
Was
not
that
a bit concerned that even if Kelsey Fitzsimmons were not to testify, a jury would never know if she didn't testify about any criminal convictions. Okay.
Yeah.
If she did testify, there'd have to be a ruling.
There's no
and
convictions, but yeah, okay.
whatever. I don't know whether there are or there aren't, but my point is, if she goes in front of a bench, has a bench trial, whether she testifies or not, the judge knows. Now, that kind of thing where if you were concerned, you might say, oh, well, we don't want that because the jury will never know. They're not in the least bit concerned that the judge knows whatever the truth is or the truth isn't, okay? Because they're going to argue to the judge that the prosecution has failed to prove her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt in a number of ways. They're not going to meet the elements based on the testimony of this guy. They're going to argue that this Noonan guy is not credible, whether he's lying or mistaken. My understanding is he testified or has an inconsistency regarding the door and the gun, and how does that affect his ability to perceive? When you're a police officer, I'm sure you're going to see cross-examination. You are trained to perceive and be accurate even in stressful times. They know what they're doing. Okay. So I think I would probably, if you really said, what are you going to do? Probably would do a bench trial in this case. And I think that probably also increases substantially the likelihood that she might testify.
Nice. On that note, you know what time it is. It's a coffee break brought to us by Zabar's. Okay. We're non-sponsored, but I'm going to play the worst music that you hate every single Sunday. So giddy up, babies. It's coffee break time. Brought to us by Zabar's. No one gives a shit. Kimberly Jean. It's Zabar's. Oh, get ready. Oh. My jam. That's because she has incredible taste, good citizen Weymouth. She's jamming out, Girl Scout. Throw some comments on. Whoop, whoop. Are we in a warehouse? No. Who's got glow sticks? Not me. Look at Winnie and Lola sitting on a couch in the house. And little Kimmy, her hair was from Revere. She was a Waltham hood rat. Woo! Don't make it weird, Kim. I got something. Sketty Sting brought it to me yesterday. I'll show you. Oh, here's Kim. Oh. It appears Mr. Bederow got lost on the way back. He said, no, thank you. I'm done talking to Kim today. Oh. Hi.
The pot was gone, so I had to make an espresso. See,
Oh.
nice and frothy. See, it's frothy. This cup is
Oh,
frothy.
let me take these down. I'm sorry. I put the little comments on because give the people what they want. Show me the froth again. We missed it.
Well, I don't want to spill it all over the. You know, it's very, yeah.
Oh, he's fancy. Okay, he's fancy. So I totally thank you for breaking it down because this is so helpful to me, Mr. Bederow, always when you give a pro and con, because other people do it and they do it well, but like nobody is you. Okay. Let's don't get you might have a flat tire on your foot, but I don't want your head to be too inflated because you know that I think that you're the best to ever do it. But when you explain it, it is shut it. It's true. You do well, all right. Okay. Be an emotional support attorney for another group of idiots.
All right. Let's
Whatever, you're the best. I did have a question about because we hadn't spoken with each other like publicly on our show to have a Sunday morning, with the phone calls that we heard. Well, we first got a transcript from Justin Alion to North Andover police, right? These calls in which he is trying to kind of rile up the police force, I feel, asking for a detail, demanding that it is actually paid for by the department, saying that there is like a risk to himself or his family by allegedly Kelsey's father, who was not present when she was shot. He was not, Officer Noonan. I just thought that was like kind of out of bounds. But when I read the transcript, Broken Baker ended up getting the actual audio, and it was worse in audio, in my opinion, than it was actually in transcript. Did you happen to hear it? And what did you make of those exchanges of Justin Alion and the North Andover Police Department?
So I didn't hear it.
Mhm.
I didn't read the transcripts, but I, again, as you kind of scroll through, you come across, but not the original source. I'm not that in the weeds on this, but what I can tell you is this: all of this stuff about the baby's father being kind of a dirtbag, whether that's true or not, smoking God knows what, breaking into her home and taking things, all of that stuff, or using the police as a personal security squad or as a defense. People need to understand the context and the relevance. Okay. That is going to be much more important in the family court stuff than the criminal case. Because at the end of the day, what matters in the criminal case is whether she was, unlawfully using a firearm, right? That she lawfully possessed. So it has to be, did she do something with a gun? You can build up all you want the circumstances that led to the encounter between Kelsey Fitzsimmons and Officer Noonan, but none of that ultimately is going to factor in, particularly to a judge. Let's be clear. Like, a judge is not going to be interested in and be persuaded by all of this background drama, like a jury arguably might. Okay. Judge is going to want to be, is there proof beyond a reasonable doubt that she turned and pointed a gun at this cop? That's it. So now this stuff could be relevant to building up and laying the foundation for what happened and led to this encounter. But the stuff which makes Justin, whatever his name is, look a lion, whatever.
A lion sack of shit. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Whatever that stuff is all going to come in to chapter 2. Let's assume it's acquitted here. The next step is, I want my kid back.
Yes.
Or I want access. I want rights. I'm the mother. And of course, in family court, the only interest is what's in the best interest of the kid. That's the only thing a family court deals with in custody. And that's where you're going to see, well, this guy's attacking me as this mentally unfit, unstable, whatever. But let's look at him. He's smoking this, he's misusing this, he's lying about this, he's breaking it. That all becomes
Projected.
Right. But people need to take a deep breath. In the criminal case, particularly in a bench trial, the Justin stuff really becomes a sideshow.
Okay. Thank you. Now it's not, I don't think it's playing devil's advocate, but could one say that the call in which was responded to because it was family, like when the emergency order was granted from family court for the baby to be taken from her home and from her arms when she's breastfeeding, like that is the precipitating event though, because without that, there is no this. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm not saying it's like excluded,
right.
And doesn't win. I mean, I think, and a judge, one would hope, would allow some leeway to understand, why are we here? I mean, why are two cops from the same department allegedly pointing guns at each other to the point where one woman ends up almost dead?
Yes.
So I think that has to factor in. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's assume she testifies. Okay. She's going to want to explain her state of mind.
Yes.
Okay. Why I had a firearm out, why I pointed it at my head, why I wanted to end my life. And now, from a defense standpoint, all this buildup is entirely relevant to explain her state of mind, which would lead me to do this. I'm going to point it at my head because I can't go on, as opposed to I'm traumatized. So what I'm going to do is try to murder a brother officer. So from a defense standpoint, if they're going to try to explain her state of mind, which they really can only do one way,
with her,
through her.
Yeah.
That becomes entirely relevant for them.
What do we think? Okay, if you were a betting man, because I know you're not, but yes, we are right now. Because it's a bench trial, in favor of her testifying, because we need state of mind, because we're going to have state of mind clearly from Noonan. And there's only two people who know really what happened in that bedroom, Noonan and Kelsey. Okay. Period. Point blank. What are your odds, or what percentage from 0 to 100 do you think that we would see her actually testify next week?
So, this week? Serious lawyers always analyze it this way. Okay. You always start with the premise. What are the allegations? What are the elements of the crime against the client? And if I sit here and take a nap during the trial and do nothing, how can they prove this? Okay. They have a prima facie case, if you will. How are they going to do it? And are there certain things that I have to do affirmatively that I will not get out through cross-examination or whatnot?
Okay.
So every lawyer starts out with, you don't want a client to testify. That's not a reflection on Kelsey Fitzsimmons or any defendant. You just, when you are a defense lawyer, you are defending, you're not proving, right? You are trying to poke holes and establish reasonable doubt and get in, get out, go home and eat dinner and go to bed, not, try to prove what's happening. If you can do that without affirmatively doing anything, you do it every time because you are in the business of limiting exposure, not creating really more. Okay. So any witness testifies including a defendant, is always going to be subject to cross-examination, and there is a risk of something bad happening. I'm not talking about Kelsey. I'm talking about defendants in general. Now, having said that, there are certain cases where you feel, how do I get critical evidence out any other way? And if you can't do that, the odds increase. Okay. So for example, a case like this, I would say the odds of her testifying are high.
Okay.
Very high. I wouldn't say 100%. And the reason is, if they destroy the case, cross-examination, the prosecution's case implodes, then you have to adjust on the fly. You don't do it, which is why you have to be real careful, and you'll see, how do they open? Personally, would I open on her testifying? No, because it may not be necessary, but it probably is, because you are going to have to get her state of mind out. You are going to, the testimony from this Noonan guy is going to be, she pointed at me. Now, if they destroy him and make him entirely unreliable through cross-examination, then I would say, that's it. We're done
86.
here.
Yep.
If it's not overwhelming and you have her testify and she explains why I pointed it at my head, what I was thinking, all of that stuff, the postpartum, I can't go on, my job, my child, this, that, and all of a sudden you do that and the judge says that makes sense and I can't exclude that. If that's reasonable, right? Then and I don't know which one is accurate or if it's some conglomeration of both, then she's going to be not guilty as a legal thing. That's why you go bench, because in this, if a judge says, I could believe Noonan, but I don't know. I could believe Fitzsimmons. I don't know. I don't think he's
guilty.
I don't know that she's lying. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle. When you start thinking like that as a fact finder and you understand the burden of proof, which a judge will, then you have not guilty. So if Kelsey were to testify, she's only getting convicted if the judge concludes beyond a reasonable doubt that Noonan testified credibly about what he says and that Fitzsimmons testified not credibly. So I say, though, in this case, there's a high likelihood. Go back to the case I talked to you about maybe 30 minutes ago of the woman. We had a bench trial with the guns in the closet. The defense in that case was that she did not knowingly possess the firearm. In other words, he was a hoarder and stuffed the closet with bags of shit, and the guns are buried in there. Her is that was his closet in my apartment, and that's all his. I didn't know. Okay, but it's her apartment. It's her closet, and in the closet are like 10 or 13 loaded guns. And your defense is she didn't know. So what confronted us in that case was, are we satisfied just by cross-examination and other evidence? Well, it's not her closet. Is that enough? And the answer was no. So she did testify. She testified beautifully, by the way, because she was
telling the truth.
1,000%. There are times where you have clients where 1,000% innocent. She was, and she was compelling, and that she was easily acquitted, as she should have been. But we made the decision. She's going to testify because we need to explain. I didn't know, but make the judge understand why she wouldn't know, including his history of domestic abuse and taking over and, saying, this is my closet, get out, all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because it should have worked, because it was the right thing. So unless Noonan is literally kneecapped, I would think that the likelihood of her testifying is very high. But again, when people go online and say, oh, she has to testify or this, that's not true. Okay.
Right.
The first analysis is it necessary? And that final choice will not be determined until after the prosecution rests and you say, did they blow it already, or do we need to add a little to this? Probably they're going to err on the side of let's have her testify. But you can never just assume that that's going to be the case. But this is the kind of case where I think a defendant is more likely, where her state of mind can only be proven through her. And you often see this in self-defense cases, where the person is accused of shooting someone or killing them or stabbing them, but they came at me first.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, because you need to get evidence in front of the fact finder for the judge to find that, or jury. And I would think that this is certainly one of those cases where the possibility of her testifying is very, very high.
And that's so interesting, because I feel as though everything that you're saying for Kelsey is the exact same for Noonan, right? So we have to have his state of mind because he opened fire, right? We have to. The only way in which he's going to have to explain all of the circumstances of what it was surrounding, why he in that moment felt the need to say what he did, which was not drop your weapon, okay? Which was don't do it. Kelsey, don't do it. Doesn't really jive to me of I'm going to be shot, someone's going to shoot me, rather than, hey, don't do it to yourself, is how one could interpret. But him making that split second, that reaction, his decision, and shooting her in the chest, which he actually allegedly, which is not alleged, but that he shot twice. So there's one bullet, and then he has a second bullet that actually does hit her. And I always we're going to have to know what was going on in his state of mind. And I believe her state of mind, no matter what, is going to have to come in. And I think it is very imperative for the judge to be able to parse apart. And I don't think that you could get to either of them. I think it's limiting exposure for the police department too, if the judge looks at it and says, well, I could believe him or I could believe her, therefore, ergo, not guilty.
Well, let's break this down a little bit.
Sorry.
Her mind is only coming in if she testifies. Okay.
Yeah.
Because now Noonan, obviously, the only way the prosecution wins is if he says, I absolutely shot her on purpose with the intent, center mass. Not that I'm proud of it, but it was me or her. Okay. She was going to shoot me. I thought I was dead, so I absolutely plugged her. If he doesn't say that, they're going to lose. Okay. But from his standpoint, the issue is his state of mind. Okay. Was it reasonable for him to shoot? He's not going to sit there and say what she was thinking. He's not capable of that.
Right.
He's not allowed. He's not inside her head. What he's going to say is, no, I'm going to tell you what she did, not what she thought, but what I perceived her do, which was do this.
The threat. Yeah.
That I absolutely shot her center mass, that's to kill. By the way.
I know.
No, but that's how they're trained. But this is.
I know, but why are they trained to do that? That's so fucking weird.
No, it's not. It's not, because putting aside the sympathy and all that, and suppose it's just a thug on the street who's trying to kill a police officer. You're not shooting him in the leg. You're not shooting him in the arm. You're not going to try to do this. You're going to shoot him in the chest, because that is the most likely way to neutralize the threat, to put him down. Mm-hmm. And if that kills him in the process, it's unfortunate, but the law permits it. If they're using deadly force against you and you reasonably believe that, then you absolutely can shoot to kill. So can you. in your home. This is like the Minnesota stuff that was going on too, all that. He has to own it, okay? And it may sound offensive to people, but if this witness wants to be credible, he is going to say, you're goddamn right. The minute she pointed that gun at me, I thought it was me or her, and I shot her, and I knew damn well the likelihood was that it would kill her. In fact, if I were the defense, I would say he probably thought he did kill her or she was going to die. And I would argue that's why we have, she pointed at me.
Yeah.
Because what happens,
cover your ass.
Hold on. What happens if Kelsey dies? What happens?
There's no case.
No, there is a case. They're investigating Noonan for police shooting.
If she dies?
Sure. They're gonna determine whether it's a good shoot or a bad. Hold on. You show up to serve an order, okay? And we have a dead colleague in the middle of her bedroom floor. Doesn't mean it was a bad shooting, but somebody has to look into that to determine it. How many witnesses are there? One. Who's that? Noonan. Who's the shooter? This is the argument.
Okay.
No cop wants to get jammed up and second guessed about a shooting, but it always, they investigate this stuff. Now, if he says, whether it's true or otherwise, she pointed at me, so I shot her and unfortunately killed her.
Uh-huh.
If anyone investigating that shooting concludes that she pointed at him, it's a good shoot, period.
Yeah.
Death or otherwise. And if she's dead, there's no witnesses to dispute what he says, but something happened here. She lived. And she damn well does dispute.
And she got charged.
That's right. Because they concluded it was a good shoot.
So the investigation that happened either way, right? The investigation happened into Noonan, whether she
a legitimate investigation would have investigated the shooting, which takes time. What I mean is now again, this is complicated. We have to analyze whether Fitzsimmons did something illegal, and they ultimately determined she did. The problem is they immediately whitewashed any scrutiny of what Noonan did. Now, ultimately, if you conclude that he acted in a justified manner, then of course you would do nothing to him if that's what they conclude. But how do you conclude it that fast and then turn this into an attempted murder? What I'm saying is this is part of what feels like a whitewash, okay?
Yes.
And you have other problems here, okay? You can't have the local police and prosecutor who works with the North Andover police all the time investigate themselves.
Right.
It's a problem with Massachusetts, and this is all of it. And I understand, the DA used to be a cop and this and that, and the judge lives in the town. Forget all that stuff. You don't have to get that far. The Essex County DA's office works all the time with the North Andover police, all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
So should they be investigating a alleged crime in which they show up and we see a seriously injured North Andover cop lying on the floor, almost dead, shot by one of her colleagues, and we're going to handle this? This is the problem. I mean, like, even in New York, which is, not what you'd say is a jurisdiction based on sanity. Trust me, it's not. But what they do, any shooting by law enforcement, which results in serious injury or death, by law, as of a few years ago in New York, immediately goes to the state attorney general away from the DA because of these types of issues.
Yes.
And, again, another perfect example is, the recent shooting in Boston, the same thing. The Suffolk DA handling the shooting involving, arresting the cop for killing the guy that stole the car. That is conflicts up the wazoo, disaster, and shouldn't be happening. But to go back to Fitzsimmons, like, they didn't investigate Noonan. They had her arrested within what? When did she get arrested? Virtually immediately, right? Virtually.
Yeah, from the hospital. Yeah. Now that this throws a wrench in my brain. Then, like, I'm having a hard time with I get the complexity of it, but it's like it's jarring to think that there would have been more of there would have been an investigation into Noonan had there been an expiration of Kelsey. Do you know what I mean? Like versus her being almost mortally wounded, right? And almost having a fatality, and then her being charged.
No, this is very simple. Anytime there is a police shooting that results in death, they don't just say, okay, whatever.
Serious injury.
But death in particular. But what I'm saying is it's going to be looked at. It's going to be investigated. Is it a good? It doesn't mean they're coming to get the police officer, but it means they're trying to determine, was that a lawful use of force? And a lot of times, yeah, sure.
Why wasn't it a lawful use of force? Like, let's say, for example, then, Mr. Bederow, devil's advocate, and I know that this is not what is being, thought of by any side, but in a self-defense, right? Like, why couldn't she say, I'm a cop, you're in my fucking house, you're upstairs in my bedroom, you have your hand on your trigger, I did whatever, and like, then I pulled out a weapon and then you shot me. Like, could there have not been a fear? She's in her own home. Stand your ground. Like, what are you doing? You fucking, like, not you. I'm just saying, like, is there not? I know that her side is that she put it up, that this was an end of the road circumstance. You have taken my baby from my arms as I'm breastfeeding. This piece of shit that I used to love, Justin, is dead to me. I'm going to lose my job. I have nothing in this moment. That was a self-checkout attempt, okay? But in the event it wasn't, how do you know that Noonan wasn't up hiding behind an imaginary door that does not exist, pulls out his weapon, she gets spooked, she's a cop in her own fucking house, and then I go to shoot at you, but you shoot me first. Is that not but for an absolute self-defense?
No, it's not self-defense at all.
So, okay.
There's 2 points. The first one, you kind of answered your own question, which is her defense is, I pointed it at my head. So like the second part of the hypothetical, it's not what happened, according to them.
It isn't what happened, yes.
So it's not an issue. The second thing is, if the police are lawfully in your home, okay, and they're there on duty and looking whatever, you don't have a right to run around and take a gun and do this. And if you analyzed it in a self-defense, was that that would not be reasonable. Okay. And let's also understand it has to be reasonable under all of the facts and circumstances. And let's also not forget, she's a trained police officer. It would not be reasonable for her to think they're coming there to shoot me. I don't think.
But what came first, the chicken or the egg of the shot, though, Mr. Bederow? That's the only thing that I'm just saying. If indeed,
no, she has no right to pick up a firearm.
What if he shot? But just hear me out. What if there is a bullet casing in a fucking air conditioning unit, and then if he shot once and then he shot her and hit her center of mass to kill?
Well, by all accounts, he did miss and then shoot her. I mean, I think there's no dispute he fired twice. Yes?
Correct.
But how does
in that time, you don't have wiggle room to be like, oh, I thought he was going to fucking kill me.
So here's where it gets really, again, legally tricky. In order to be privileged to use justification or self-defense, you cannot be what is called the initial aggressor. Anybody who is the initial aggressor, you forfeit the right to use self-defense when the whole crazy scene develops. So if she starts the encounter with a gun, and even if he missed and now I'm defending myself, I mean, this is like a law school exercise, not the real world. But if you are the initial aggressor, you can't claim you're justified. So if you attack someone on the street, beat them up, and then they're hitting you back, and then you're like, oh, no, I'm only fighting back. No, if you started it, the only difference is when you use force as defense, it has to be proportional.
Noted.
So if someone attacks you on the street and they're the initial aggressor, and then you come back and try to shoot them, elevated force. This gets really tricky. But the simple answer in her case is this. She's saying he just shot me. I was doing this and he just shot me. So, I mean, it's kind of a non-issue in her case.
Yeah. No, you're so right. I'm sorry. I just got lost in the weeds there. All I'm just saying is like, and I know it's hypothetical, but like, it's so weird to me when you're in someone's house, when the totality of the sum of circumstance, and then to find out that there's just a lot that I feel will come out, but I know that the story has never changed. Kelsey's story has never changed. Noonan's has a little, but hers has.
Just break it down like simply.
Yep.
She's a police officer. Let's put aside how upset she is. She gets a knock on the door. They're cops from her own department. She knows them. And they say, look, we're here to serve you with this or whatever. Okay.
Yep.
She knows they're cops. She knows they're doing their job. Doesn't mean she likes it. There is no reasonable set of circumstances in terms of thinking about self-defense in which she should legally be able to pick up a firearm and introduce it into this encounter. None. But she's not alleging. She's alleging my world was falling apart. I got the gun and I'm checking out. And then this guy guy plugged me in the chest. And then he's like, oh, no. She tried to kill me. And what I was saying 10 minutes ago is if Noonan thought, oh God, now I just shot her. Oh my God, she's going to die. Here we go. Every police officer is immediately thinking, oh my God, the DA is going to look at this, internal affairs. Here we go. And he's thinking, if she dies, shit's going to hit the fan, right? So he says, you know what? She pointed at me. And now they're going to conclude that's a good shoot. There's no witnesses. I'm clear. That's an argument or something that I'm sure will be explored. Now, let me add something else here, which is really interesting. This case would be open and shut if these knuckleheads in North Andover wore a body-worn camera. Okay. Now, they don't. Okay. If there was a jury and the defense tried to get that out, probably a judge has no choice but to sustain that objection. It's not proper to have the jury. Well, we would know, and since there's no camera, we don't know, so we have to find her not guilty. The point is this. You ask that question in a bench trial, judge can still sustain it. You know, I'm not going to consider it as evidence, but you can't reinvent what's in his head.
Yeah.
And any sane person, judge, juror, you, me, Fitzsimmons, Noonan, Tiny Jesus, anyone would say if they had body-worn camera,
it
would be on his chest. It would be pointing right at Fitzsimmons. It would show one of two things. It would show her doing this or something in the middle. And the reality is, the one person who should want there to be body camera more than any other person living, other than perhaps Fitzsimmons, is Noonan.
100%.
Because it would clear me or clear her. And, at a bench trial, I'm sure they'll try to make reference to body camera. It'll come in or it won't, but it's out there.
And I know this is only sidebar, but interestingly enough, that was in the budget and just decided not to be utilized by the North Andover Police Department at that time. It was in their fiscal year for them to do that. There wasn't at the time.
Any police officer who tells you that we don't want body camera should get your spider sense tingling that something's not right here. Okay. Because body camera absolutely would expose misconduct or deter it, but it also protects police officers from being falsely accused. And if you're just acting in the course of your
equalizer,
okay. For example, if this guy had body camera and she pointed at him, we wouldn't be doing this. I mean, and nobody would be criticizing this guy. But when police officers say, I don't want body camera, why? If you're doing your job it protects you from being falsely accused. But some guy says, "Oh, he took my money." Why wouldn't you want that? It now look, does it expose bad cops? Yeah. I mean, we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I had that one case, the DWI case in Manhattan, where the cop had his body worn camera and was texting and gave himself away, and it was like New York's Proctor in that case. We used it, destroyed him, and the Manhattan DA had to dismiss the case in the middle of his cross-examination, and the guy quit the NYPD a week later because we exposed him for what he was.
Yeah.
But that was body camera doing justice. He lied about a breath test, about how intoxicated this woman was. He just lied. And if we didn't have the body camera, we wouldn't be able to prove any of that. It would be word against. And in this case, we have word against word, and they had the right to get body cameras, and they worked against it. Every good police officer should be in favor of body cameras. Every good citizen should be in favor of body cameras. It shows the truth, whatever it is.
Literally, quite literally, it is the great equalizer. It's the equalizer for our communities. It's the equalizers for our police, that they are not being accused of falsely of misconduct. And also it's a safety net for members of the community. It's incredibly important. And when there is an option for them, it does make you wonder, why the pushback? Why the not wanting to implement? I know that change sucks. I know that, creatures of habit, but unfortunately, when you're a first responder, I know firsthand, policies, procedures, things change. Everything changes all the time, and you need to be able to keep up.
The other thing is this, the way, like, for example, in New York, way the NYPD has body worn camera. Most sane police departments at this point do. It's not literally a live stream to their shift. Okay. They don't walk around all day with the red light blinking.
Right.
When they react to a job, okay, part of their training is push the button. But when they're just sitting around hanging out or just not doing anything that involves a citizen encounter, they don't do it. But when they interview witnesses, they do it. And you know what? Don't you want to have a record of what a witness says, whether it's true, dishonest, mistaken, accurate, inaccurate? If you're trying to get to the truth, why wouldn't anybody be in favor of this?
The truth of the matter asserted, if you will. And I think this is going to be, do you think this is going to be straightforward, or do you think we're going to get some surprises?
I think it's very
Plot twist.
No, I think, again, when you break it down to its core, are they going to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she was swinging a gun around in a very bad way? That's it. That's the issue, right? The gun itself is lawfully possessed. Some people, it would be a crime to merely possess the firearm. Now, in your home, difference less. Whatever. But the point is, the issue is whether it's being used unlawfully.
Okay. Is there any weight or not in the call, and there not being, will it be family court only for the lack of the best team? That's in Massachusetts. We have like mental health providers that are supposed to go on calls that are related to that. No social worker, no best team, no anything. No clearing the house of firearms when you're going to a cop's house, right? I guess. For the how the call went, right? Policy and procedure of actually how that call went down. Will that be relevant to Judge Karp?
It should be, for a couple of reasons. One, if I'm the defense, I want to bring that out and let the judge know they screwed this up. But two, this can impact the credibility of the witnesses who do testify. Like Noonan, are you familiar with proper procedure and protocol? Was it followed here? And if he knows the proper procedure and they didn't follow it, that does impact his credibility on some level, his competence. And his competence is very much an issue, because I'm sure the defense is going to argue that, he overreacted and misperceived and made a mistake.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, this can definitely come in for sure.
Is there, Mr. Bederow, do we know, is family court, that's private, right? We could
I
see
don't
like
know.
documents, but we can't, that's like not something people are allowed to go to.
I would have to consult my box of crayons about Massachusetts family court procedure.
Mhm.
Generally, most family court proceedings in New York are generally private and not open to the public. I don't know what the story is in Massachusetts. Having said that, this case is anything but private. The family court component, it's out
Mhm.
there. The filings are online. They're public. So I don't know. I'm assuming, given what it is, it appears in Massachusetts that this is fair game.
Okay. That's wild to me. I didn't actually think you could do that, but I will have to Google that later. I don't know. My phone is actually turned off self-sufficiently. This is very awkward. And the last thing that I wanted to just say about this is that, as usual, when you are providing your analysis and we're going over these cases, it's so important to have our breath, right? To take a breath, to say what matters, what doesn't, what cuts through the noise of what will actually be relevant and what won't. And I appreciate you for that. So thank you.
Last thing about her I would say is, the judge, in weighing the evidence, is going to be less inclined to consider the emotional part of this. But even a judge is a human being, obviously.
Mhm.
And we're in a situation where, in order to convict her of a serious crime, you're saying this woman who was going through hell, postpartum depression, job issues, baby issues, stress, blah, 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 and took a slug to the chest and almost died. And already, let's be honest, jury's not supposed to know this, even though they do because they follow the news, and the judge won't consider it, but he knows it, that this woman was in jail for months.
Over 100 days.
Over a judge being a joke about, peeing in a cup or whatever. And to convict her of a crime for getting shot, already being in jail, having a well-documented mental illness, which is frequently associated with giving birth, and all these other things, boy, that would be tough.
Yeah.
Facts aside, but again, the facts are going to control, but that's a lot to bear to convict someone with all that background.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so sad. I found this very sad, and I found the more that I had questions about it initially hearing, and then the more that came out, I was like, oh my gosh, just for me, it was like this poor girl who has been sitting on just all this information and having to be silent and trying to wait for the legal process to play out in front of a very scary place of being, not only have you not had contact with your child since June of 2025, you were hospitalized for over 50 days at Mass General Hospital. You still have bullet fragments in your body and will for the rest of your life. You're suffering from pain. You're suffering from mental health and physical ailment. And then your healing was impeded due to the fact that you asked for a modification in scram breath testing due to the fact that you had a chest tube, right? When you got shot in the chest. And instead of just denying that motion, you had Judge Kathleen remand you to prison, to jail. And you had to spend another 100 days in jail after this entire calamity. I just feel as though I want so badly for Kelsey to feel whole again, or like feel like she's going to come out and she's going to not have to be in this place that I think she was put at only at the hands of one person, and that is Justin, a lying sack of shit, in my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, to me, have a trial next week.
Yeah.
Judge
How long do you think
Bederow-
it will last? 5 days? 4 days?
The word is that it's going to be fast. I was kind of surprised. I mean, obviously, a bench trial moves much faster than
Yeah.
a jury trial, much. But they seem to think like a week, give or take, maybe a little less. That seems light to me for what we're dealing with. But what do I know? So I imagine it'll be over sometime next week.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Okay, good. I'm going to try to get, I requested PTO for 1 day this week. I'm going to hope I can get it, and I will go up, and it's only like 20, 30 minutes from me. So that is way closer than an hour and a half, almost 2 hours for me to get my ass down to Dedham. So that
I may actually pop in one day. I'm going to be in town anyway. Our schedule changed, but I'm coming to do other business and other things. But if this thing is still going on by the time I get there, I may jaunt up there and see what's happening.
All right, we'll get it. We'll talk offline, and we'll do like a little coordination. Anywho, what is your schedule? Can you give me updates in anything? I know that publicly what has been stated was that in Commonwealth versus Aiden Carney, there was a denial, is that correct, of the recusal of Cosgrove, or no?
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Who's
So,
allowed-
okay, and
Nothing.
yeah.
That's whatever.
Totally. And so now from here, Mr. Bederow, there is an upcoming, or do you not have don't we have an upcoming court date next week too?
Is moved to May.
Fucking got moved to May? When?
Yeah,
Friday?
schedule. Well, I mean, with obviously the other case is kind of pushing into next week.
Oh,
No, it is what it happens.
okay.
It's not scandalous at all.
Yeah. Just to
it
continue.
happens. Yeah. I mean, obviously next week is going to be, co-counsel is going to be obligated entirely to deal with this. It's fine.
Duh. Okay.
There's no
All right.
controversy. Not,
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And he needs to be, if he has trial.
It's a lot of schedules to put together, and it can be difficult, and whatever. It's just that's what we all agreed to do.
Okay. Awesome. So that is that. Is there anything else that you're pending? Or is there a pending response, or is Cosgrove just Cosgroving?
I don't know what that means, but no, I mean, we have to argue oral argument on some pending motions in May.
Yep.
And then, assuming that case is not dismissed, then we just have regular proceedings and eventually a trial. If it gets dismissed, it's over. I mean, it's, again, these are normal things. This case has taken a long time, clearly, but everything is, lawyers on cases don't get as up and down as people who watch them do about how, I mean, one of the things I've noticed, and this relates, I mean, I first saw this actually with Karen Reed, when people were following that, see a little bit with our case in Massachusetts, you see a little bit of it with Fitzsimmons and all these other things, is complicated litigation goes on forever. And there are motions that get filed. That's customary. That's normal. Many, many times they don't get granted. And there's a long game to these proceedings. The lawyers involved, whether they on either side, understand that and just kind of go through the process, adjust accordingly, and do whatever they do. You preserve the record. You do this, and then you just move on. But a lot of the online commentary or interest treats every motion as life or death. Oh my God, you're winning, you're losing. This person's a genius, this person's a moron because of and it's just funny because this happens in every case. The only reason he's talking about these is because these cases are in the public realm. But watch the constant, it's over, good or bad, depending on any kind of very common or in certain cases uncommon motions. I mean, like, for example, the motion to recuse the prosecutor, that's not a common motion. but it was made because there were uncommon circumstances. There was civil litigation going on and allegations made by a witness alleging misconduct by a prosecutor. That's why that motion gets made. And if it gets denied, it doesn't mean all is lost or all is won or this or that. Or when people, in Karen Reed, they file a motion to dismiss, it doesn't get granted. Oh my God, it's over. No, this is all normal stuff.
For the course.
It's all court. When you have a war, there are battles within the war, and even beneath that, there are skirmishes. And sometimes when you file motions, of course they get denied. You're preserving a record. When you make discovery demands, you're preserving a record in case there is an appeal. This is all normal. Just people should recognize that. And that goes for whatever side you're on.
Of course.
The only time, obviously, if somebody files a motion to dismiss and it's granted, okay, that's generally the end of it. But short or if like an amazing amount of evidence is suppressed. But in like criminal cases, for example, motions to suppress are filed in 99% of the cases, and they deny perfunctory 99% of the time. That's the way it is. That's normal.
Absolutely. And I just had a random thought that somebody had brought to my attention earlier this week. And I was like, wow, maybe I'm so or I've followed it so closely with Aiden's case, with Karen's case, with Kelsey's case. But as it relates to Cosgrove, him staying on is not necessarily a bad thing either, because that man, and I mean this in the most loving possible way, but I just am thinking to myself, like, yeah, the reason that he needed to, or that there was that motion was because of the law, the suing of him by a witness, etc., had nothing to do with you guys not wanting him there. It was, this is a conflict on its face, but let's pretend there wasn't. It's almost like, oh, have we seen him? Do we watch him argue? Keep him. Let him stay. It's not actually that hurtful. He's no whippersnapper up there being like, he's a moving and a shaking and he's, knowing all the things. It's like, are we, today, sir?
I'm not going to speak to that.
I know.
We, as I often say, we just go where they send us. They tell us to appear. We do. Prosecutor is assigned to a case. That's who we deal with. Personally, everybody gets along. There's a lot of respect.
Yeah.
I'm not getting into any of that stuff. We filed a motion. It was denied, and we just go like this. And where are we going next? Again, lawyers on both sides don't get all jacked up and read into this. The issue is preserved if it becomes a necessary thing down the line. And that's what you do. You make a record, and we're making a record. That's called being a responsible lawyer. That's all.
Please look forward to my parody song, Brush Your Shoulders Off.
Well, I guess apparently that's not as cool as pulling the lint off your suit jacket, right, Alan? That was from what I saw a couple of weeks ago.
Stop it.
But nothing. But let's be honest. Nobody can do it as smooth as he does. We know that.
No, not a soul. Okay. Well, on that note, we've made it to 2 hours. You are everything. You are the best to ever do it. I don't care. Put your earmuffs on. You know I say it. There will be no issue. Oh, are you going to be here? Are you going to be here next weekend, or are we going to be able to do a Sunday service?
I am going to be in town beginning Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm leaving Saturday, and I will hold on.
Let's check our Google calendars.
I will. Oops, that's contacts, not calendar. Come on, you can do it. Why am I in January? Wow, got a big problem here. I will be
a couple months behind.
Home on the 29th, and then on the 30th, I'm flying to Phoenix. So
So you can't do, that's too much for the 30th. That's Sunday. You're leaving Sunday for Phoenix.
The 30th is Monday. The 29th
That's Monday.
is.
You're coming home Sunday.
I'll be home. No, I'm coming home Saturday.
Okay. Are we on for 8 o'clock tomorrow? I mean, next Sunday.
Sure, why not?
Okay. All right. Well, I'm
I'll
booking it because we're booked and busy and we're brushing our shoulders off. Okay. Thank you.
I'll tell you, the week after is not likely unless I'm feeling particularly obnoxious and want to have the desert mountains behind me and the bright sunshine and whatnot. But I can also tell you this: it would not be at 8 a.m. if it were to happen at all, because that 8 a.m. is actually 5 a.m. and that even I have limits.
I hear you. So we could do a 10 a.m. and it'd be 7 a.m. for there. Just saying. Oh,
I don't. Maybe.
We'll think of it. But we're booked. We're booked for next Sunday, 8 a.m.
Sure.
I do have Wi-Fi. I have no more fucking 5. We've done our weekend. Are we doing it? Hey, are you available for a Laconia pontoon boat excursion potentially this summer?
A Laconia. What?
Lake Winnipesaukee, Nurse
Right.
Kim, 14 of our best friends from out of town, pontoon. You like it. You like it a lot.
Possibly.
You're not a hater.
I don't hate it. There's a lot of questions,
You have questions. I'll give answers.
With a 14.
Well, we don't know yet. We've got to pull them from Jesus. Here's what we need: Tiny Mary, Tiny Jesus, Tiny Chuck Norris, and Tiny Punch the Monkey will tell us who will come with us. It's going to be pretty cool. I can tell.
I don't know.
Going to have fun on Lake Winnipesaukee. Don't you love Winnipesaukee?
How many times when I go to New Hampshire? Not that much. Although I went to summer camp right on the border of New Hampshire. We would go to Salisbury Beach, right?
Of course. Yeah.
But I was more of a Maine guy than a New Hampshire guy.
Oh, you go to Sebago?
I went to camp up in Maine and things like that, like Kennebunkport and that kind of
he's
stuff.
uppity. Oh, he's a yuppie. Oh, okay, I see. All right, I'm a trash bag. Okay, I'm a trash bag.
Remember, I was a Metro West guy, right? We're a little. We're
I'm a
not.
hood
We're
rat
not,
from Waltham.
we're not North Shore. It's a little different.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Bederow. I appreciate your day. I hope listen, follow directions. Be a good patient. Don't be a pain in the ass.
Like rock hard. I hate it. It's just like,
listen. Hobble, wobble, don't fall down. Okay?
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your day.
Be well. See ya.
Bye. We did it. Loveys, we did it. He's the best. I don't care. Do I make it weird? Yes. Every fucking time, because that's my nature. Okay. Oh, hello, Scooter. Thank you so much for becoming a consensual member at my house. I appreciate you. Nicola Maxwell, 10 out of 10 on the fucking Afro Man comment. Freedom. Afro Man, allegedly. And to Cheech, family court, we did find out. We don't know. And my phone is actually turning back on, but I'll have to Google it. We don't know. There is the filings, but I don't know if you're able to go there or not. I don't remember if Mr. Bederow, he would have to check it as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this my mod? My mod, the queen herself? Oh, hey, it's Kristen. Gifted 5 Nurse Kim memberships because she does. And I'm just saying, twisted trash bags. Is that me? Okay, am I a hefty bitch? Or you calling me Thickum season? Because I'm a hood rat from Waltham. Oh, you can take the girl out the hood, right? But can never take the hood out the girl. And Meatball Morrissey Sketty Stain saw her yesterday, went to lunch, and she got dairy dildos. If you're wondering what those are, that's a mozzarella stick. And if you hang out with someone that thinks of weird ass fucking names for things, Montante is the man for that. Okay? He's an angel. Longfellow Gibson says, Mr. Bederow, oh, did you watch Your Honor? Babe, I'm going to keep this starred because he's coming back next Sunday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm keeping it, okay? You're still starred because you're my star. I have no idea, and I don't know who the fuck Jimmy Baxter is. And Ms. Bucket, I'm stopping. has been a member at my house for 5 months. My pleasure to hang out with Kim and Mr. Bederows and Lovelies. Yes, we are all delusional. Trust is Love has also been a member for 5 months at my house and loves Mark Bederow. Mr. Bederow is one of one. We hit the lottery when we met him. And Libra in Seattle says, have a great Sunday. Happy spring. Spring has sprung. Let's get our seasonal affective disorders. Just shake it out, okay? Get me a fucking sage. I need sage. I need, what else do I need? A spell. I'm going to give 10 dimes today to 3 pine trees, okay? I'm going to give money to pine trees. And if you do that, if you put it in the ground, good luck comes back to you, okay? Who told me this? Jimmy. Jimmy's a warlock. And B Crumbs, thank you for being a member at my house for 8 months. You love my face. We're all thickums. I love everything about you. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. We're going to talk shit on Tuesday because that's what we do. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye, lovies.
All right, great job on the news.
Thank you.
We will, Courtney and I will share what happened when we went to dinner last night, Sunday dinner, coming up. And as